Welcome everyone to today's Creators Live. We are here in our demo room and we're going to be going over some really cool stuff with the Omni DTF. So we're going to give a little bit of time for folks to filter in. We got Victor in here in the panelist area. We got Elizabeth, Jose, Kimberly, Marietta, and Molly. We're going to invite you to become a panelist so you can join us up on the main screen here. We can have some more face-to-face interaction and just have a little bit better of a conversation about what we're going to be talking about today, which is mainly we're going to be focusing on aligning the roll for the Omni DTF. This has been something that I've noticed a lot of people ask about, and hopefully my goal here is to have this video for reference, not only for right now, but for our YouTube folks. So everybody say hi in the chat to YouTube. We want to make sure that we're getting this roll on there nice and straight and aligned so that it's going to feed nicely for us and it doesn't drift left or right too much. Without further ado, we're going to get into some wins. Does anybody have, I see that Jim has joined us. Jim is our main documentation man. Mr. Jim, if you don't mind, could I ask you for a win? I know you have your camera off, so you might be doing something else. We'll give you a second. And hello, Kimberly. Thank you for joining us on camera, Yvette. Really appreciate it.
I'll do a personal win, professional win.
There we go.
So I got to see my 2-year-old grandson this past weekend. Big win. He's crazy active, a lot of fun chasing him around.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
That's a huge win.
Also, yeah, it was wild. And I've also, now on Omni Academy, we've now got quite a bit of content for the DTF, and we're continuing to build that out. But just excited to see that available now, and hopefully it's going to be super helpful for our new customers starting out with the DTF. And thanks also to you, Bryan. You've got some great content on the setup of the stands and new equipment, getting it all set up, and that's a huge win as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jim. Yeah, we got all kinds of cool stuff coming out, and the content keeps on rolling. We got all kinds of stuff to teach you guys. So unless we have any volunteers, Victor, Tony, Yvette, let's see, Patrick is coming in. We got Mr. Mario. If you guys have some wins to share, be my guest, go ahead. If not, we're just going to get right into it and talk about loading up the roll on this Omni DTF printer. Going once, twice, okay, all right, let's just get right to it then. You guys are all business today. Okay, a really common thing, I know I mentioned this at the beginning, a really common thing that we've seen in our support tickets is folks having a difficulty getting the film to feed straight through the machine. And I asked Jim to join us today just to make sure that I don't skip any of the steps, because some of it's a little bit more practice makes perfect, and Jim's here to make sure, because he's done it much more than I have. So thank you so much for joining us, Jim. I've got the little bullet points here, so I'll be following along with that as well, just in case, but feel free to jump in if there's anything that I don't talk about in enough detail. So step one is just getting the roll of film onto the printer. If we can switch, yeah, so right in here, when you secure the roll, you want to make sure that it's nice and flush onto that core. There shouldn't be any of that little insert that goes into the core of the roll. That should not be visible. It should be nice and flush. So you would loosen, can we pan out just a smidge? I think we're just slightly too close. There we go. So you're gonna loosen these knobs here. Usually you'll just do one at a time. So I'll leave that one tightened, and let's say I want to adjust this one. You'll move it, adjust it, and then tighten it. And you're not really cranking it on super hard, because you can tighten it to an extent that it dents the bar. You just go until you get resistance. It'll be firm enough to hold it tight. So you want to make sure that it's nice, and let me come around, nice and flush on both sides. Once you've got it nice and flush, then you would make sure that's nice and tight. Another key factor when you're first putting the roll on and positioning this is making sure that on the very early models of the Omni DTF, you won't have these stickers. So you just want to make sure that it's feeding straight through the printer. And usually you would use the opening for the DTF oven as reference for how straight it's feeding. But we've added these stickers here as a guide to help make sure that it's feeding in straight. So you would lower the lever here, and you'll see those rollers come up. Oh, yep. So this lever here, so you see those rollers go up, and then this roll is loose. So let me feed it through again. For demonstration purposes, we don't have the oven secured, so I'm relying solely on the stickers here today. And so you're going to put it through. You can have it have some slack, and you want to get it pretty much as straight as you can to the naked eye. Lower that lever, and then bring it back. So you're going to roll the film back towards you. So you have some tension there, and you'll feel the sides. So I'm just feeling here, and that's a good way to tell if it's feeding straight, if it's coming off of the roll straight. If you feel the side and there's a little lip and the film is to one side and then on the other side it's not as far over, that's a good indication that it's not feeding straight. Let me make sure I'm not skipping any other important steps here. Again, Jim, jump in if I skip something. You know what? I did skip an important step after you put the roll on. You do want to check and make sure that the printer is level. So I did neglect to get myself a level, but you would check the level from the top of the machine. From the oven, you want to make sure that the oven is also level, and then the roll. So you would set the level onto the roll and make sure that's also nice and level. In this case, I don't think the floor in here is level, so that's working against me. Got it seated there, it's nice. Feed the film through the pinch rollers. Tension from the back, ensure left and right alignment. With the tension, also check if one side is shifting toward versus the other. So we've got that. Let's see. Feed the roll all the way straight through the oven. So at this point, we would want to feed the roll all the way through the oven. For display purposes, like I said, we don't have the oven today. Otherwise, I would feed it all the way through, make sure that it's feeding straight, and then I'll secure it to the core on the oven. Another thing that we should do is from the back, let's get in close. We want to lower the lever so that raises up these guys. And you want to see if it's sticking up or if it's nice and flat. If the roll is bubbling up, then that's an indication that it may not be feeding very straight. So you're going to also do that through the oven as well to see if the roll is feeding straight or not. So you just peek through the oven opening, look for any places where the film is hitting. So that could be top to bottom. Oh, it's falling through here. Either top to bottom or left and right. You want it straight. So from there, make sure there's no obstructions. You put the tape on and then you can feed it through. And the recommendation after you feed through the roll is to test it with some prints. So you'd run 3 or 4 prints and make sure that it's still going straight. And those prints can be things like your nozzle check and some test prints that you may have, right? And once the roll is secured and it's feeding straight, you would go ahead and do printhead alignment. Before we play the video for the printhead alignment, because that's a little more nuanced with regards to showing you what's on the film when it prints. Was there any questions? And Jim, did I skip any steps that you find would be important tips for folks?
Yeah, I would say not so much something you skip, but just, I guess, maybe a pointer, a couple things I look for is those tensioners on each end of the roll. We want to make sure, yeah, we want to make sure there's like equal tension on both sides.
So he's talking about these guys here. So the technique, as I was instructed, is you loosen them until they're very loose. And I'm doing it on both sides. And then it's just a matter of brushing your finger over it until there's sufficient tension that it doesn't turn anymore. It's real gentle and it's not taking a lot. And that's how you can ensure that it's equal on both sides.
Yeah, and the other thing I do, if I'm having trouble getting the film to run straight, it's pretty straightforward getting it to line up on the stickers, the alignment stickers, check in and make sure it's centered as it goes into the oven. Usually where I've found I have to make my adjustments when everything looks good to me, but the film still isn't running straight, if it's going a little. Something you mentioned, I think, right at the beginning. I'll go back and tweak the position of the roll itself on the back of the printer, of those roll supports. And what I'm looking for there, the way I'll typically do that is I'll start with the film taut, right? So the friction rollers are down and the film is above the rear of the platen and just a straight line coming off of the roll into the back of the printer. And what I'll do is I'll unroll a little bit of film so that it starts to sag a bit. So I've got some slack back there. And I look to see is one side of that film touching the printer before the other side does. And if that's the case, I know it's not quite in the right position, and I'll adjust it. I want the slack on both sides to be the same. So when I unroll the film a little bit, both sides will touch the plate at the same time. That's just a technique I just came up with when working to troubleshoot skewing on the film.
Yeah, that'll be really important. And that's a kind of a difficult to show technique. I was trying it right now as you were describing that, and we just don't have the camera angle to show that. Does anybody in the group right now have the Omni DTF? So Ryan and Gary, awesome. So this one's for you guys today, and Michelle. So this one's for you guys today. So that's a technique that Jim has developed, like he said. Any other questions about roll alignment, roll feed, sort of procedure? Let's see. Michelle says, we have lots of skewing issues, especially when loading a new roll. So this is exactly for you guys. Another thing that we find is important to do after you load a new roll, or if you've had the same roll going for 2 weeks or more, you would want to do a printhead alignment. If there's no other questions about roll loading and feeding techniques, then we're gonna go ahead and play the video for that so you guys can get the nice visuals of what you're looking for when you do that.
We're ready to check the printhead alignment now. The printheads are aligned at the factory when we're doing our manufacturing, but we also like to check them when we have a new printer set up, just to make sure everything is good and to make adjustments if necessary. So before we're doing the alignment though, we just want to make sure that the equipment is all level. So the stands have feet that you can use to adjust the height at any corner if you need to make them level. So we want to check on the curing machine itself. We want to check on the printer's platen. And we also want to check on the film roll itself, actually just setting on top of the roll of film. So those 3 spots, make sure they're level, and then we're ready to go ahead with the alignment. So when we're doing printhead alignments, We're essentially printing test patterns similar to the nozzle check, but different, which you'll see. And we do that using the Omni DTF UI software. So we'll have a couple of different patterns we print for different types of alignment. So we'll be doing a vertical alignment, a horizontal alignment for when the carriage is moving to the left, horizontal alignment for when the carriage is moving to the right, and then a last bidirectional horizontal alignment. So a total of 4 alignment checks. Now we're going to start with the vertical alignment. For all of these, we'll be using the software. So now you'll see my screen. So we're starting here on the settings screen, but what we want for the alignment is here on the Align tab. So we'll select Align, and then we're going to go down on the left side to the third option, which is head distance. So we'll go ahead and select head distance. And here you can see we have horizontal and vertical, and we want to start with the vertical. So we're now ready to print the nozzle check, or the test pattern for the vertical distance alignment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and then the printer will print that pattern for us. All right, we've got the pattern printed, so I'm going to go ahead and advance the film to get a view of that. And these are typically faint lines, so I recommend using a smartphone camera to get a picture, and that's going to generally give you better contrast and just make it easier to make out the details that we're looking for here. So what we have is a set of columns of horizontal lines, and at the bottom of each column is a number. So the horizontal lines in each column, so in the line segments, you've got black at the left and right end of each line segment, and then white in the center. So to align the white head with the color head, we're looking at this pattern, we're looking for where the black and the white line up horizontally in the same exact position. So it looks like a single line with black segments and a white segment in the middle. You'll see at one extreme end of the pattern that prints, you'll see the white line is going to be a little above the black line, and it's going to get closer and closer, and then it's another point, you'll see the white is lower than the black segments. So we're looking for the place where they are forming a perfect line. We want to end up with that being in the 0 position. So looking at it now, looks like the best position is in the +2 position. So the way the columns are labeled, as you'll be able to see in the graphic, it's a set of negative numbers as it grows up to 0, and then positive numbers. So +2 is my best segment. So I'm going to go back to the software, and you can see the number that's currently there is 1468.5. So since the best aligned value is in the +2 column, I'm just going to add 2 to the number that's already here. So we'll be going from 1468.5 to 1470.5. And then we just go up and click Save. And we're now telling the printer that the best column was in the +2. And now that we've saved that, we're just going to print the pattern again, just to confirm that it's now got the best alignment at the 0 position after making that adjustment. So I printed again. I'm going to use my camera again to get a better view. And it looks like that did the trick. So we're ready to move on to the next setting. So now we're going to do the horizontal head distance alignment. So we just select horizontal here, and we're going to start with the left distance. This is the alignment for the carriage moving in the leftward direction. So I just go to end check and I'll click on that. Now for the horizontal alignment, you're going to be seeing a different pattern. Instead of horizontal lines, we're going to now see vertical lines. Same exact idea. We're looking for the best vertical lines where the lower and upper segments of black are perfectly aligned with the middle segments of white to form like a single vertical bar. So I just printed those. Take a look here. Again, I recommend taking a picture with your smartphone. It's going to improve the contrast and just make it easier to see where you've got the best alignment. So this time I'm going to say the best is at -1. We're going to sum -1 with the number that's already here in the software. So you see it's 4.5. We're going to subtract 1 or add a -1, and that's going to give us 3.5. And then we'll save that and print the same pattern again. See that it's moved to the 0 position. So printing the nozzle check again. And again, I'll just advance the film, take a quick snapshot so I can zoom in, get a little added contrast. And that's great. It's perfectly aligned in that 0 position. So now we're going to proceed through the process. This time we'll be checking the right distance. Same exact pattern, same process. Just click end check, and then we'll take a look at the results. And this time it's already looking great in the 0 position. So we're done with the horizontal, and we're going to jump to the bidirectional adjust. So we go to the left side of the screen, select bidirectional adjustment. Again, click on end check to print the test pattern. This will be very similar to the left and right horizontal. It's also vertical bars. This time the top and bottom are black and the center is more gray rather than white. But it's the same idea, same process. Get a quick snapshot, get a nice contrast boost by using a smartphone camera. And this time our best column is numbered number 2, +2. So we're going to go back to the software. The value that's there now is 10. So we'll just add 2 to that, making it 12, and save. And once it's done saving, we'll print that nozzle check pattern once again. Let's take a look. And that did the trick. So our best column now is column 0. So that's what we're shooting for in all of these alignment checks. We want the best aligned bars, vertical or horizontal, depending on if we're doing a vertical or horizontal adjustment, to be in the center column. And so that's it. Now we know that the ink is loaded, we're getting a good nozzle check, and the heads are aligned. So this printer is ready to do production work at this point. So congratulations.
Thanks.
That was amazing.
Yeah, great job. That room looks familiar too. All right, okay, so any questions about what we just covered there? Any questions from my OmniDTF folks in the group? Okay. All right. So I wanted to circle back to last week before we wrap things up. And I believe I assigned you guys some homework with regards to hats. Ron, don't give me that. How did yours turn out? You're muted, sir. There you go.
I'll tell you this. I've been so busy trying to land this new client, a new race car team, and you got me.
Was anyone else able to take a little bit of time to play with it? Because I did one more try after we wrapped up. Can we switch to the other camera?
Looks like your advice out, John.
So we have it here. And so there you go. I got a halfway decent one on here. I'm not happy with how it turned out. It did tear on the corners here. So maybe if it was just lettering rather than a whole text here, might get some better results. And I was able to kind of press it back into its original shape. I think that's something that one of you guys recommended. Maybe it was you, Ron, where you press it with the bill the wrong way around, and then when you're done, you flip it back over and you press it back into shape. So that worked out quite well, but maybe this image just was not well suited for this application. And in this case, the red did wash out my white and it turned the inside pink. On the camera, you can't really tell too badly, but in person, it would be cool if it hadn't torn in the corners. Since no one else did their homework, I think I've got the best one. All right, let's see. We got some questions. We got some hands raised. Mr. Jose, go ahead. Did you hit the button on accident again, or you got a question?
No, I'm good. That's my first time logging into your live stuff. So I'm trying to figure out all the buttons. But
Awesome.
I do have Omni DTF. Been
Nice.
running it since November, and it's actually pretty amazing. I like it. We actually print roughly right now. We're averaging about 300 to 400 shirts a week.
Nice.
So getting a lot of use. However, sometimes there are little issues that come up, and one that I'm having today that for some reason I can't resolve is printing a design, and it's a pink design, and you could see the banding on the print. So I did all the flushing the ink, loading the ink, doing the heavy head cleans, the medium heavy head cleans, the single head clean on each color, pretty much done everything, and I'm still getting banding on the print. And I clean the decoder strip, and I don't know what I'm leaving out or what I'm missing.
Okay.
Little banding issue.
Okay. I know all of my regulars know the first thing that I'm gonna ask you. Say it with me, guys. How's that nozzle check look?
Looks good. Yeah, that's yeah, it's complete. It's not broken. It looks, it's readable. Yeah, it looks normal.
Okay, we're gonna need some pictures. So we're gonna drop my email in the chat here. Now, I do wanna make sure, in no way am I meant to be a replacement for a support ticket, but I can certainly help where I can. So I do encourage you to still open a support ticket by emailing support@omniprintonline.com. But if I'm able to solve your problem before they get in touch with you, then that saves everybody time and it helps everybody in the long run.
Ultimately, that's the issue that I'm running to is, and again, I know everybody's busy, but sometimes we run across where I have a large order to fill and I run into a little glitch. And that's why I jumped online today, because I'm like, let's see if maybe they could help me really quick, because the support tickets take a while.
They can, yeah.
I'm down for days waiting to hear back from support, and the work's just stacking up. And then either I figure it out myself in the time that I'm trying to get called back, or I finally get called back and we figure it out together. But yeah, that's one of the things, is that it takes not a little while, it takes days sometimes to get back from support. So that could be problematic for us that have jobs that, we need to get done.
Yep, time sensitive.
and our machine goes down, and now we're just waiting. So
For sure. Okay, so I've got a 3-step plan for you. Step 1, open that support ticket and get that ticket number. Number 2, send me the ticket number and send me just a crap ton of pictures. Take pictures of the ink lines where the clips are. Send me multiple good pictures of your nozzle check. While you're at it, let me have you do a printhead alignment like Mr. Jim just showed us on the video, and send me pictures of those results once you have it aligned.
seems like I have to
Send
do,
me,
yeah, I have to do a printhead alignment usually every time I change a roll of film. It seems. Yeah.
yes, that's the recommendation. So send me the pictures of the printhead alignment. We want to make sure that's looking good. And then after you've done those, do one more print for me and show me the banding after you do the nozzle check and the head alignment, just to make sure that in the process of getting me those other pictures, we didn't just accidentally solve your problem and then we're trying to resolve something that's not a problem anymore.
Correct. Got it.
That's step number 2 of my 3-step plan for you. Step number 3 is let me have you drop your information into the group. I'm sure everybody here would love to assist you with your orders. If there's something that is really time sensitive, maybe you can connect with some of our folks here. They all have pretty much the same machine, or they have the FreeJet, but it's gonna be the all comparable quality. So I would encourage you to network so that you have that fallback in the case that maybe my troubleshooting methods aren't able to solve your problem in a timely manner, and tech support is going through their normal process. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, and I would extend that to everybody. When you're having a technical issue, step 1 is always supposed to be open a support ticket. Because sometimes it can take time for them to connect with you. You want to open it as you're having the problem. By the time they connect with you, if your problem is resolved, then they can just close the ticket. But if you try to troubleshoot and then you open the ticket, then your timer starts from there, and they will only work oldest to newest, and I don't think I need to go into too much detail there. You guys get the picture.
Hey, can I jump in on
Of course.
something here? Yeah, Jose, one thing you can check in the Omni DTF UI software, one thing you can do there to address banding is on that adjust, let me see, get you the right name of that tab. Yeah, it's on the settings tab. There's an option there called feed adjustment.
Jim, do you have it there on your computer? Do you mind sharing your screen?
It's not, it doesn't show up on my screen because it's not connected to a printer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you have to be connected to a printer to see
Worth
all
a
the
shot.
options on that screen.
We're gonna get you a printer at home.
There you go. But yeah, there's a feed adjustment type, and just make sure I get this right for you. You can set the mode. So there's a mode and a type that shows up there under feed adjustment. You can set the mode to heavy and set the type to strong. And that essentially is in the RIP software for the FreeJet. If you've ever adjustment, you can make it a software for a weave overlap. And this is a similar function to that. And it'll slow down the printing process a little bit because it's going to actually overlap a bit when it's printing. But it can be helpful if you're having banding problems. It can.
Okay. So again, you said go into the settings portion, or is it in the? Is it in the, what do you call it? The Omni DTF?
Yeah.
Or is
it's
it the?
not the RIP software.
Okay.
Not Print Pro, but yeah, the Omni DTF UI software.
And it's under settings.
Yeah, under settings.
And there's.
It's called feed adjustment. And then you get drop downs.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it right now. It's set on light, and then it says mist.
Yeah, so you could change that mode from light to heavy, and then the type from mist to strong.
There's strong A, strong B. There's mask, rand, and
Yeah, I think either of those strongs, you can experiment a little bit
yeah.
with different ones, but I think probably either of those strong types would be helpful.
Okay. Cool. I'm giving it a shot right now.
Yeah, good.
See what happens.
There we go.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that information. That's
Yeah, I hope it helps.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know. And let's see, Hampton says, could he try sending the file to the machine in a different format? Hampton, I don't think that's causing the problem. In the case where it was like a file thing, we would see the issue consistent through the whole file. So I don't think it's a formatting problem there. But thank you for your input anyway. I saw someone else raise their hand and then put it back down. Did someone else have a question? Benny?
Oh, okay. No, I was gonna go back to the hat that you made earlier.
Oh, uh-huh. Let me
Because
fish
I'm
it off the
wondering if
floor.
that's the same hat. I don't know if you did a redo on the hat.
Yeah, I did a second hat with what I learned. This one, I did it with the transfer on top.
Okay,
And
so you did fold the headpiece so that the heat is coming on top instead of from the bottom.
yeah, so effectively, I pressed it so that the bill was flipped this way. And then afterwards, I flipped it over and pressed it back into shape.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was the most effective, but I think probably this graphic is just not ideal for this kind of hat. But we got something working there.
Yeah.
We could do something real cool with that.
Yep. All right, thanks.
Of course. Let's see, I think we have another question here. So Michelle is asking, just want to clarify, every time we change a new role, we need to align the head. You don't need to. It's recommended just to ensure consistency as you're printing. And I see you have your hand raised, Michelle. Did you want to expand on that?
No, I'm fine. Thank you. I just wanted
Okay.
to clarify that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I thought that was tied into the skewing problem, but it's not, right? The head alignment has nothing to do with the skewing.
No, the roll feeding to the left and right as you print. No, the print head alignment would not be related.
And I guess it's because the roll is heaviest when it's new. So you may
Yeah.
want to check things like I would think the advancement setting might be useful to check there. If the roll is heavier, can that cause banding then if the roll is brand new?
The tension of it should be uniform enough, but over time, it's useful to check just to ensure that consistency.
Okay, thank you.
Jose, you have another question?
no, it's not a question, but I ran with the recommended settings that were offered and it looks a lot better.
Hey, there we go. Jim to the rescue.
Yeah, but they're still very light, but it still improved it where we'd be able to print it.
Okay. I'm going to say, since you're still seeing somewhat of an issue with that, do the nozzle check just for your own sanity.
Yes.
And follow the 3-step plan.
Nice. All right. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Very good. Were there any other questions that maybe I missed in the chat, or anybody else have any unrelated questions to not necessarily the Omni DTF, but anything else? Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and close it out. I won't dilly-dally too long. Everybody's time is money. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's Creators Live. We'll see you next Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific. And peace out, YouTube. Bye. Boop, 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 boop.